Adams Archive.
James O'Keefe and the O'Keefe Media Group. As I said earlier, OMG, terrible logo, terrible name, has come out with its own undercover videos. This one coming from a Fox News producer who was caught on tape saying Tucker Carlson was ousted as a part of the Dominion Settlement Network, Dominion Settlement, and the network was beholden to Pfizer and big tech money. Now let's go ahead and watch this video and see what he has to say here.
The Dominion company.
$144 million to settle that Dominion lawsuit.
Oh, that was with the Dominion company. What happened with that? Like,
They gave him money, and part of it, they say it wasn't part of it, but we're learning that Tucker getting fired was part of that.
Tucker getting fired was part of the Dominion lawsuit.
It was part of the settlement. Yeah, he was ousted. When it's corporate media and you're beholden to advertisers, I guess.
Well, it's either the Pillow Guy or it's brought to you by Pfizer, right? It's like,
It's big pharma.
yeah.
Which is crazy because we would do all this stuff about COVID vaccines, and we're getting money from Pfizer.
Which is crazy because, you know, we were getting paid and then promoting something that is now known to have serious side effects and killing people. Huh, so crazy. You really got away with that one. Ha, 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 ha. How are these people exist? How do these people exist? How do these people sleep at night? Like, how much were you making as a producer at Fox News? All right, judging by his shirt, not enough. But how much money was this guy making to completely submit all of your morals over to corporate entities?
We're getting what?
And we're getting money from Pfizer.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Big pharma, big tech.
you know, you're talking about like the shady players, like your buddy Michael Rosa, like
That he's the one who's crafting Dominion's message. That's a whole story in and of itself.
OMG News has obtained incendiary footage of a Fox News producer talking about Tucker Carlson's departure, the Dominion settlement, and the influence that advertisers and pharmaceutical companies like Pfizer have over the embattled network.
Fox News Media, America's news, and much more.
$144 million to settle that Dominion lawsuit.
oh, that was with the Dominion company. Yeah. How did what happened with that? Like,
They gave him money, and part of it, they say it wasn't part of it, but we're learning that Tucker getting fired was part of that.
Tucker getting fired was part of the Dominion lawsuit.
It was part of the settlement.
So what that means is that they settled, right? It was like $750 whatever million that they settled for. And during that negotiations, Dominion stated that in order for them to settle, they would have to fire Tucker Carlson and essentially light their entire business on fire and completely put themselves into the ground. So one thing let's take a little sidetrack here. Now that we know that every major news media company ever is going to eventually go under, like CNN and Fox News, Vice News, this is something that I couldn't tell you how happy I am about. Vice News is filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy. In the next segment of Go Woke, Go Broke, Vice News has filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And this is interesting. If you look at the background of Vice, if you think back to like the times when they were on HBO documentaries and they were embedding themselves with biker gangs, smoking meth with them, and then partying with strippers at night to bring you true journalism, all the way till now where they're promoting trans ideology and sexualization of children. And literally every single article that comes out of Vice is just the most liberal, politically motivated bullshit that you've ever seen. So it's no surprise that Vice is filing bankruptcy, especially in a world where the belief in institutions and especially the largest names of them like CNN and Fox News, which we're learning about right now as we speak, we know that they're bought and paid for by corporations. But Vice is now in negotiations with a company funded by George Soros. So we probably should have seen that coming, but we knew that money was there all along, right? When you go onto their website and you sift through all of the liberal bullshit that you see, all of the like extremist left. This isn't like centrist. This isn't center left. This isn't like reasonable liberals who have a large amount of empathy and a little amount of logic. Like we're speaking about people who have blue hair and children that are 7-year-old boys in blue tutus that they're taking to sex festivals, like we're about to see here, is who liked Vice at this point, which is, again, sad because the journalism that came out of Vice 10 years ago was like legit, awesome, guerrilla style journalism, boots on the ground, like interesting, super interesting journalism. Some of the best like documentaries done by journalistic institutions has come out of Vice 10 years ago. So it was sad to see this transition. But now that I've seen it, and now that I'm so far from ever caring about whatever happens to them based on the type of stuff that they push out, I'm happy. I'm happy to see that Vice News is filing bankruptcy. 100%. It brings me so much joy that Vice News filed bankruptcy. Anyways, let's move on. Here's the rest of the video.
So did Tucker leave, or did you guys part ways, or Tucker was ousted?
Yeah, he was ousted. Well, he brought up things that cost him a lot of money.
Cost the company a lot of money?
Yeah, and that was part of it. Like, he was going to go after this whole thing about January 6th was, it was an inside job. He went after this guy, Reyes, who he said was an FBI agent on the inside.
Who was?
Right.
Encouraged it. And he was going to go on the air and what that guy said on 60 Minutes. And the Murdochs were like, not going to happen. The other thing with Tucker that is interesting is everyone's like,
So what he just said is that Tucker Carlson was going to refute the FBI informant / provocateur, Ray Epps. He was going to go on Fox News and refute what Ray Epps, the Fed, who promoted and incited the January 6th insurrection, he was going to refute the things that this man said from his 60 Minutes interview. You know, the Ray Epps, who is still walking around without any charges after saying, tomorrow we're going into the Capitol. That guy, still walking around. Tucker Carlson was going to speak out and say, nah, you're a Fed. And this guy, Sean Langley, is saying that the Murdochs were not happy about that and they couldn't let it happen. And everybody's afraid of losing so many
viewers and money.
Viewers and money.
There were a bunch of advertisers that said we're not going to advertise that 8 o'clock hour. So now that he's gone, they're starting to come back.
Sean, a Fox News insider, says that not only Tucker's reporting on January 6th cost the network a lot of money and made the Murdochs unhappy, but Sean goes on to talk about the pressures of advertising and the influence of Big Pharma on the embattled network.
Yeah, it's Big Pharma.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because like we were doing all this stuff about COVID vaccines and we're getting money from Pfizer.
We're getting what?
When you say that we take money from Pfizer, what did you mean by that?
No, he's calling and talking to them.
Money from Pfizer. I think you're putting words in my mouth.
You said, quote,
and we're getting money from Pfizer.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Big Pharma, Big Tech.
Dude, you're describing to me like the nature of the narratives, right? Like we have BlackRock and Vanguard who own everybody, right? They own CNN, MSNBC, Fox, you name it. That's what I was talking about, the self-censorship narrative.
Media. When it's corporate media and you're beholden to advertisers.
BlackRock and Vanguard are in your ear. They're like, you can only say up until this point of what the truth is, and then you have to start pushing propaganda.
Good Morning America is brought to you by Pfizer.
Yeah, it's across the board kind of like that, or you don't want to piss off advertisers.
Sean also told us about his...
But that's the thing is like, you don't want to piss off advertisers, but the advertisers only care to the extent that you're getting them viewership and profitability and ROI on how much they're spending. So it's not just profitability anymore. It's not like they will push things to the extent that they lose viewership, which means losing advertising spend, which means losing money. All of these news stations, all of these main news corporations are all propaganda arms for the regime, right? And not the Biden regime, not the Trump regime, obviously not the Trump regime, but just the regime in general, the current holders of power. right? Which isn't the president, as we know, as we have this bumbling, fumbling, geriatric old man running our country. And by running, I mean stumbling through his words and being told where to go off of stage. But we know now that it's not even about money anymore. It's not even about how many people you can get for viewerships, because what would be a bigger story? A big story would be that Pfizer came to Fox News and tried to motivate them to pull their conversations about vaccines. A big story would be that the FBI came to Robert Murdoch and said, you better not run that story. You better not let Tucker Carlson go on 8 o'clock news and talk about Ray Epps. That would be a far bigger story to run if you were the news networks, that the FBI came to us, or the Murdochs or the BlackRocks and the Vanguards came to us and said, you cannot do this. In today's world, that would save face. That would improve viewership, which improves advertising spend, because it's just based on viewership. If you're advertising at 8 o'clock, you're going to have to spend more than if you're advertising at 2 o'clock, because there's more viewers. It all comes down to viewership. So the second that you realize that it's not about profitability anymore, it's the fact that Fox News, CNN are propaganda arms for the elites. And it's not even the Biden administration, which is a joke, right? Biden is a political arm of the elites. Everything comes from those corporate entities, which come from the families who are the most rich families in the entire world, who get their rocks off on power. So this goes on to say a little bit about what we just read and listened to. So let's move on. Let's see what it says here. The video shows Langley discussing former White House employee Michael La Rosa, whose consulting firm worked for Dominion. Someone who worked from the Biden White House was literally crafting the message for Dominion, he said. Then he laid out the connections. So he left working for Joe Biden to start this PR firm, or work for this firm whose sole client was Dominion, doing their communications. It's like right from the White House to go work for Dominion. So it's like when you know those little moving parts, you're like everyone's shady. Left the White House to literally go take down the news outlet that was being unfavorable to his boss. And there you go. All right. So there is your update on the latest and greatest on Tucker Carlson. And by the way, if you didn't know, I'm sure you know by now, but Tucker Carlson is now going to be starting a show directly on, in the name of Elon Musk's Twitter platform. Well, formerly Elon Musk's Twitter platform, and now the World Economic Forum's Twitter platform.